Happy New Yuri, everyone! I hope it's a good one for you. I've got a lot of plans myself, and I hope we're all successful this time around. Every year it gets a little harder to have hope in the future, but I also get a little bit more determined to make the future bright. And remember, if you can't see any hope anymore, then we could just do without hope. After all, there's always vengeance. Keep up the good work, and keep trying to make the world a better place in the ways that you can. In honor of the new year and all the hopes and dreads that come with that, let's take a look at my top 10 favorite Yuri archetypes. That's right, the opener wasn't just a joke, it's also the premise of the episode. Let's go. Honorable mention, Dragon Maid. Okay, these ones are in the honorable mention slot because I don't even know if these guys are Yuri, but everyone in my replies on Blue Sky insists that they are, so here we are. So the Dragon Maids are dragons that take a humanoid form to perform the duties of maids in some mansion. The owner of the mansion is up for debate, it seems. As far as I know, Konami hasn't so much as hinted as who it could be, and speculations are all over the place. Many people have suggested dragon rulers, which makes sense in certain ways. The titles certainly match up, which is almost certainly the starting point of this theory, but they're also both dragon archetypes that feature a large array of attributes, and they synergize well together. The problem for me, though, is the dragon rulers simply don't live in houses. That kind of makes this a non-starter for me, to be honest. It just doesn't track. Others suggest that the mansion is just a spot for weary travelers with no specific master, and that may well be the intention of Konami, but they sure do a lot of chores for a mansion that only has occasional visitors. That leads us, inevitably, to Yuri. My followers on Blue Sky are absolutely convinced that the Dragon Maids are a little polycule of maids, and they do maid work for each other for the love of the game. I'm not sure I entirely buy it, but I prefer it to the other alternatives. Until Konami crushes all our Yuri hopes and dreams, this will have to do. Number 10. Nouvelle. I gotta be honest, I completely forgot these girls even existed until I asked people for Yu-Gi-Oh! Yuri suggestions on Blue Sky, but a professional rivalry is a perfect breeding ground for Yuri. No pun intended. Wink. Concours de Cuisine depicts the competitive relationship between poissonnière de Nouvelle and pâtissière de couverture, which is not actually a Nouvelle card, but is on a Nouvelle card art. This is a little bit of an opportunity for me to flex my French muscles for the first time in a while. These two mainly seem to have been paired together because they both have French names and cook things, which I suppose is a reason to pair them together, but it is a little strange that the fish cook is making desserts just to compete with the pâtissier. Maybe that's a sign of their love? Working in a different cooking style specifically so you could be a rival to a girl seems pretty gay to me. Maybe after all this work into making these cards Yuri, I'll actually remember they exist. Number 9. Charmers. There's a certain extent to which this list is just a ranking of how officially canon the Yuri is, and here at the low end you kind of have to read between the lines a bit. This is really one where the vibes are gay and you're just gonna have to deal with those scraps. The Charmers are a very early archetype that didn't actually operate as an actual archetype until the recent support from the structure deck. That support, and the tokens that they made to get you to buy more copies of the deck, was the first time we got to see the Charmers interact with each other in any meaningful way. And the Charmers are basically just a magical girl squad, it turns out, and what's more Yuri than magical girls? Sailor Moon absolutely wrote the book on the genre, and despite being centralized on a hetero romance, the primary romantic rivals to Tuxedo Mask are women or men who become women. Or are they women who become men? Either way, Tuxedo Mask is dead by that point anyway, so it's fine, right? Well, she doesn't know that for sure though, so... That season made some very strange writing decisions. Anyways, it's not the only example of Yuri in the magical girl genre, but I'm not going to go into every example. Madoka Magica. Anyways, suffice to say the Charmers fit firmly in the magical girl's different elemental charges category, just like Sailor Moon, and the token arts fit firmly in the moe slice of life relaxation that can be a breeding ground for Yuri and Yuri situations. I think that's Yuri enough for the Yuri Club. Number 8. Witchcrafter. Alright, more magical girls. Considering that Yuri is about, girls, that's already half of the equation. Any addition of magic and boom, you have magical girls. So I suppose I really shouldn't be surprised to see it again. It's more that we have two right in a row here, I suppose, but that's how the cards have fallen for me. Witchcrafters are part of a larger lore with the rest of the Magistus crew of the Invoker and his Invoked, and Endymion's weird little school. Witchcrafter are ostensibly the magical craftspeople of the Magistus, but in reality are just the girls who have created a school teaching the next generation of witches. This school is headed by Madame Vere, and Vice Madame Hain in the case of Vere going on a leave of absence. That's what's going on in Witchcrafter Confusion Confession, by the way. It's unfortunately not the Yuri confession everyone thinks it is. I don't know why they named it Confession when it's just Vere dipping out on her responsibilities. Maybe it's a bit gushy considering Hein's extremely embarrassed face, or maybe the thought of having all that work suddenly dropped on you is just very daunting. I don't know, at least this one has the implication in the name of the card, which puts it above the previous in pure Yuri content. Number 7. Centur-ion. Okay, when I asked what's more Yuri than magical girls earlier, it was actually a setup to say mechs. Mechs are more Yuri than magical girls. Just look at Gundam. Madoka didn't end with a lesbian wedding no matter how gay that ending was. But can we do something better? Centurion asked the question, what if a mech pilot was a magical girl and her girlfriend powered the golem up into a super big mech? And the answer is, it fucking rocks. We have our main crew of Primera and Trudea with their golem Emeth the Sixth, and then their edgy rivals Atri and Chimeria with their golem Gargoyle the Second. They synchro together to make the big mechs, synchronizing their hearts and minds. Pretty intimate, don't you think? That's all we really have so far, but we do have some cute scenes showing the relationship between Primera and Trudea, at least, and the official marketing material makes it clear that their bond is what makes the mech work, so I feel pretty safe in declaring this Yuri, and pretty tasty Yuri at that. We love to see the physical manifestation of the love between two girls. I just wish we had any more lore at all for these cards to actually explain what the hell is going on. Number 6. Exo Sister. Who doesn't love Catholic girl Yuri, perhaps one of the oldest forms of Yuri? This Yuri has probably existed since the invention of nuns, and bless them for it. As for the Exo Sisters, they literally name their partner in their card text. It's hard to get clearer than that without coming out and saying the actual words that we so desperately want to hear, but likely never will. Ixie summoning is also a pretty intimate extra deck mechanic. I mean, you literally lay these girls on top of each other and make a new girl. Then you lay two of those girls on top of each other to make a double girl? Now that I think about it, the only extra deck mechanic that doesn't feel intimate in some way is link summoning. But while a lot of extra deck mechanics may be intimate, these girls have something special in this regard since they come pre-packaged with their ship pairings that give them extra effects. I'm sure these girls love helping their partners bust. Ghosts, that is. Number 5. Diabelle. The next 4 here are all toxic enemies to lovers Yuri, which is incredibly delicious, thank you so much Konami. Diabelle Star and Diabelles are a very tragic version of this trope where they are childhood friends to enemies to sick and twisted lovers. It's so tasty. When you see cards like Sinful Spoils of Slumber Morian, it makes it clear the extremely conflicted feelings between them. The thing about Toxic Yuri is that it's not just kinky and fun, it's also emotionally gut-wrenching. The dramatism makes for more powerful storytelling. Sweet Yuri is great, but Toxic Yuri hits different, you know? My main problem with Diabelle that puts it at the bottom of this Toxic Yuri pack is that the storytelling of the Diabelle lore has kind of been a bit muddy. It's a little hard to tell exactly what's going on, especially with the flashbacks making it a bit harder to tell the order of operations. This one might actually move up a few points once they finish the story arc and put out some little lore drops in whatever collection editions they put out in Japan only. God, I really don't envy Golden Nova with how little they give the lore heads. Number 4. Sky Striker. Sky Striker, on the other hand, actually has quite a bit out there thanks to both the manga and the upcoming animated YouTube shorts. This one is a classic tale of soldiers meeting on the battlefield and leaving as lovers. Rei and Rose's fight has been captured beautifully in the animated short that is already produced for the 25th anniversary animated collection, but what wasn't covered there was Rei sparing and saving her counterpart. And they especially don't cover the part where they scissor, I mean where their scissors cross. I mean, like, come on, you can't write that on a card featuring two women and not expect people to read into it. Really though, linkage is the one that makes the strongest case for Yuri, as Rei defiantly holds the comatose body of Rose as she transforms into one of her Sky Striker suits. That's peak Yuri right there. It's genuinely beautiful stuff. That card alone almost makes you want to forgive Sky Striker players for their crimes. It really brings home the core of the Sky Striker story as told in the manga, the power of connections. It's very near Automata, with the world ended by a seemingly meaningless war. Now what remains are just the automatons of both nations playing out the very same script. The Sky Strikers themselves face a tragic dilemma. As the last two humans set on opposite sides of a war that has nothing to do with them, their only options are to kill each other or fall in love, both with the planet that humanity forfeited in their quest for power and each other. What else are they to do? Number 3. Ghost Meets Girl. We've finally reached the realm of archetypes where the Yuri is so canonically strong within the cards themselves that it's hard for people to deny it. I mean, of course they do anyways, but it's getting increasingly ridiculous for them here on out. Ghost Meets Girl is an archetype of cards that bridges the gaps between Shiranui and Mayakashi decks, neither of which really wants to work with each other as decks because they're mortal enemies and they secret summon differently from each other. You see, the Shiranui are samurai with the power of the spectral sword that allows them to fight back the forces of darkness in the Mayakashi. The latest inheritor of this power is Shiranui Squire, who unlike her predecessors, is a woman. She has a chance encounter with the leader of the Mayakashi, Yoko, who appears in the day as a beautiful woman. After they fucked, Squire absorbed some of the yokai magic and was able to combine it with the spectral sword to make the power of Skill Saga Supremacy. By the way, that's not me reading into things too much because they specifically use a word for their encounter that reads innocently at first, but also definitely does mean something more intimate. They are heavily implying this. She's still bound to fight her mortal enemies though, and enters combat with Yoko, but the sneaky Yuki Onna steals the power of the Skill Saga Supremacy from her during the fight, and seems to be usurping Yoko as well. This lore is still developing, so we'll see how Yoko and the Squire take things from here, but I do hope they lean harder into the Yuri of it all. There's so much good tension between the legacy the squire has been thrust into versus that beautiful woman she spent a wonderful night with. After all, they named it Ghost Meets Girl, an homage to a common phrase, boy meets girl, which is used to mean the start of a hetero romance. Like, come on, that's so Yuri. Number 2, Labyrinth. And this is when we get into the undeniable Yuri. The Yuri that's so Yuri you can't un-Yuri it. Labyrinth is a story about a dungeon boss that loves a lady knight so much that she keeps making more and more traps to lure her into the castle. The knight seems to be pretty expressionless and motivated exclusively by exploring dangerous dungeons, but considering she keeps coming back, she must like it to some degree as well. The lady of the labyrinth even has a plushie of her to cuddle up with. Isn't that cute? All of her lovely servants just want to make her happy, so they do what they can to lure in the knight and capture her for their lady. See, now this is what dragon maids should be to convince me they're actually Yuri. You gotta have girls serving a girl who want to capture and keep another girl. Even Wikipedia mentions the lesbian themes, like the fact that Labyrinth, part of the portmanteau of the Labyrinth name, is a lesbian symbol, or the cherry blossoms making a heart shape in Big Welcome, and the Japanese name for the archetype, Labyrinth, sounds similar to love you. That's what I want, dog. I want Yuri that's undeniable, dang it. And that's why the number 1 slot goes to number 1, Live Twin. Okay, so the Live Twins don't kiss or anything yet, but they hold each other in romantic poses and they do silly horny wolf faces at each other's alternate outfits like they're in a Tex Avery cartoon. That alone makes them the most explicitly lesbian Yu-Gi-Oh cards out there, despite the fact that they named them twins for some reason. But being that close to actual goddamn Yuri is what makes them my favorite. Like, girls, look at the fucking scraps we are putting up with in this list. When I ask people what archetypes are Yuri, I got some people suggesting archetypes that don't even have any cards where the girls interact at all. Like, you can read actual Yuri where the girls say out loud with their own voices that they like each other and kiss and stuff, right? We don't have to put up with Yuri bait or worse from Konami to get our Yuri kicks. But if you're going to, Live Twin aren't a bad pick, especially since the side material confirms that they're friends with IP Masquerena and SP Little Knight, who only aren't on this list because they don't exactly have an archetype after SP abandoned the S-Force. So it seems like the Live Twins not only are lesbians, but are friends with other lesbians. But like, it only seems that way, right? I know we have had to read into these things for a long time as a community, but like, you can go read Sorry But I'm Not Into Yuri right now instead. It's a really cute story. Although, fair warning, it starts as just like a pervy premise before actually getting sweet and cute. But go read that, it's great! There's so much Yuri out there now, and hopefully that will embolden Konami to get more explicit with their lesbian characters, as has been the trend for the past few. I mean, hell, even Magic the Gathering has canonical lesbians who do lesbian things on actual card art. Why can't we have that in Yu-Gi-Oh? Hopefully the Live Twins and their popularity pave the way for us to see a new Yuri dawn on Yu-Gi-Oh! So there you have it, my top 10 favorite Yuri archetypes. What do you think of all these choices? What would you include in your top 10? Let me know down below, rest well, and I'll see you in the next one. Happy New Yuri! Good night! Hey there, thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video. I've got a lot more for you if you want them. Just hit that subscribe button and ring the bell to get notifications. I'd also appreciate if you left me a like and a comment and maybe shared the video around with your friends. You can also follow me on all the usual social media sites. Just check out my website in the description below for more info. My videos are funded by my patrons and YouTube members, whose names you'll see scrolling by in these credits here. For just $1 a month, you too can find yourself here, trapped in my end screen for all eternity. In particular, I'd like to thank Haru Hayes, Fleakill, Frog Prince Michael, Jeremy Coatney, the Almighty Ferret Lord, and Fire Mizumi. A big thanks to all my other patrons and to my little community as a whole. Remember to be kind to yourselves, be kind to others, and have a wonderful whatever time it is for you. Bye-bye, sleep well.